Singapore has taken a further legislative step towards the full rollout of its next-generation electronic road pricing system, commonly referred to as ERP2, after Parliament passed a law enabling its implementation. The move attracted public attention following remarks by Senior Minister of State for Transport Jeffrey Syao, who said that more cars could potentially be allowed on Singapore's roads once the new system is in place. The statement does not signal an immediate shift in vehicle ownership policy, nor does it change existing controls such as the Certificate of Entitlement framework. Instead, it reflects how ERP2 is expected to provide transport planners with more precise tools to manage road usage. The legislation was passed in 2025 as part of preparations for Singapore's transition from the current gantry-based ERP system to a satellite-based charging model. ERP2 replaces physical gantries with onboard units that use satellite technology to track when and where vehicles are driven. This allows road charges to be applied based on location, time, and usage patterns, rather than only at fixed points. Authorities have consistently stated that the purpose of ERP2 is to improve congestion management, not to encourage an overall increase in driving. The law passed in Parliament establishes the legal framework for this transition. It covers the mandatory installation of new onboard units, enforcement provisions, and the collection of road usage charges under the upgraded system. Officials have stressed that these changes are technical and administrative in nature, designed to support a more flexible pricing mechanism rather than alter long-standing transport principles. Jeffrey Syao's comments were made in the context of policy flexibility, not expansion. He noted that if congestion can be managed more accurately, policymakers may have a wider range of options when balancing road usage, capacity, and ownership limits. At the same time, he reiterated that Singapore's core transport objectives remain unchanged, keeping traffic flowing, managing congestion, and prioritizing public transport. For residents, the key point is that the phrase "more cars" should not be read as a policy promise. At this stage, ERP2 changes how road usage is priced, not how many vehicles are allowed. Any future adjustments would still depend on careful assessment and broader policy decisions beyond this legislation. Understanding what ERP2 actually enables and what it does not is essential before drawing conclusions from recent remarks. The next chapter will examine how ERP2 differs from the current system and why policymakers see it as a significant upgrade in traffic management. The debate around ERP2 centers on how the new system fundamentally differs from the current electronic road pricing framework. Today's ERP relies on physical gantries positioned at specific points along major roads and expressways. Charges are triggered only when vehicles pass these locations, meaning pricing reflects conditions at selected choke points rather than overall road usage. ERP2 shifts this approach to a satellite-based, distance-sensitive system. New onboard units installed in vehicles use global navigation satellite technology to record when and where a car is driven. Instead of charging at fixed gantries, road pricing can be applied across road segments, varying by location, time of day, and congestion levels. This allows traffic management to respond more precisely to actual conditions on the ground. Transport authorities have explained that this added precision is central to ERP2's policy value. Under the current system, managing congestion often requires physical changes, such as installing new gantries or adjusting existing ones, processes that are costly and slow. ERP2 allows pricing parameters to be adjusted digitally, enabling quicker responses to evolving traffic patterns without additional roadside infrastructure. This capability matters because congestion in Singapore is uneven and time-specific. Certain roads experience heavy usage only during narrow peak windows, while others fluctuate depending on events, weather, or nearby construction. By targeting charges more accurately, ERP2 aims to influence driving behavior where congestion actually occurs, rather than discouraging road use more broadly. Authorities have stressed that ERP2 is designed to shape when and where people drive, not to encourage more driving overall. If congestion can be managed more efficiently through targeted pricing, there may be less need for conservative system-wide buffers in usage controls. However, this potential flexibility operates strictly within existing transport policies. For residents, this distinction is important. ERP2 affects daily driving patterns and costs, not the right to own a vehicle. The Certificate of Entitlement system continues to regulate vehicle population size, while ERP2 focuses on optimizing road usage within those limits. References to the possibility that more cars could be allowed emerged during parliamentary discussions on the ERP2 legislation, where policymakers were considering long-term transport planning rather than near-term policy changes. Senior Minister of State Jeffrey Seow framed the idea as a conditional outcome, dependent on whether congestion can be managed more precisely with improved tools. The reasoning reflects how transport capacity is balanced in a land-scarce city. Singapore's road network has limited scope for physical expansion, and congestion has traditionally been managed through a combination of vehicle ownership limits, road pricing, and investment in public transport. When pricing tools are less precise, policymakers tend to apply broader constraints to ensure the system remains stable. ERP2 potentially alters this balance by allowing congestion to be addressed at a more granular level. Authorities have noted that road usage is uneven, with some vehicles contributing disproportionately to congestion depending on when and where they are driven. More accurate pricing could, in theory, reduce peak pressure without restricting road use at other times or locations. Despite this, officials have emphasized that firm constraints remain in place. The Certificate of Entitlement system continues to cap vehicle growth and remains the primary instrument for controlling car numbers. Any adjustment to COE policy would require separate evaluation and approval and is not triggered automatically by the introduction of ERP2. Environmental and livability considerations also continue to shape transport decisions. Reducing emissions, managing noise, and ensuring public transport remains the preferred mode for daily travel are established priorities. Authorities have reiterated that private car use is not intended to become the default option for commuting, regardless of improvements in pricing technology. It is also important to note that ERP2 is still in the implementation phase. While the legal framework has been passed, policymakers have indicated that decisions will be guided by observed data once the system is fully operational, rather than assumptions made in advance. This cautious approach reflects Singapore's broader policy style, where technology enables options but does not dictate outcomes. With the legal framework now approved, attention shifts from parliamentary debate to implementation and oversight. Transport authorities have stated that ERP2 will be rolled out progressively, with the installation of new onboard units becoming mandatory for vehicles. These units enable satellite-based charging and enforcement, replacing the current gantry-dependent system. Safeguards have been outlined to ensure that data collected is used strictly for road pricing and traffic management, in line with existing data protection rules. For residents, the most immediate change will be how road pricing is experienced, rather than any change in car ownership rules. Charges under ERP2 can be more finely calibrated to reflect actual congestion levels on specific road segments and at specific times. This could mean lower charges during off-peak periods or on less congested roads, and higher charges where congestion is persistent. Authorities have indicated that pricing adjustments will be communicated clearly and implemented cautiously. Any discussion about allowing more cars remains separate from ERP2's rollout. Policymakers have reiterated that vehicle population growth continues to be governed by broader considerations, including land use, environmental impact, and the capacity of public transport. The Certificate of Entitlement framework remains in place, and no automatic link has been established between ERP2 and changes to ownership limits. From a strategic perspective, ERP2 reflects Singapore's long-standing approach to managing scarce resources through pricing rather than physical expansion. Road space is limited, and building more roads is neither practical nor desirable in a dense urban environment. By using pricing to manage demand dynamically, authorities aim to keep traffic flowing while avoiding excessive infrastructure growth. Officials have also stressed that future policy decisions will be data-driven. Once ERP2 is fully operational, observed traffic patterns and congestion outcomes will inform any adjustments. This approach reduces reliance on assumptions and allows policy responses to be grounded in real-world evidence rather than projections. In summary, the move towards ERP2 strengthens Singapore's ability to manage congestion with greater precision without signaling a departure from established transport priorities. Public transport remains the backbone of daily travel, Private car use continues to be regulated, and any future flexibility will be considered carefully within these boundaries. For residents, the key takeaway is continuity rather than disruption. ERP2 is an upgrade in how traffic is managed, not a promise of sweeping change in how many cars Singapore will have.